Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. We are driving. Apparently I just hit the bumpy part of the road because I started recording. It's, country roads, man. Whoa. Everyone says, oh, the mask has slipped periodically when the media does something particularly egregious or stupid. Right now we have California Republican Congress people who are particularly avid on the progressive socialist side. People who talk about the supreme power of government, nuking gun owners, that kind of thing, end up having girlfriends who are Chinese spies or boyfriends who are Chinese spies or whatever. And we have the Chinese actually advertising that they have people in the top of our government, and the media's trying to downplay. Here's the thing. This is the topic of the video, because it always takes me 20 minutes to get into my topic, right? I think that we have a large number of people in our higher circles, our policy circles, okay, whether they're elected or not, who think that America is fundamentally weak and a falling star. We have we have no power, we have no future, whatever. So they're trying to work a soft landing for the country if they're relatively patriotic, and they're trying to gain power at the expense of our sovereignty and our country if they're not particularly patriotic. Okay, and this is where I think a lot of the problems with the Trump administration have come in. Is Trump is very much an America first, American century, PAX Americana type of guy. All right, he's not as imperialist as I would be, but he's very much a America first, America is strong, America is unbeatable type of guy. Whereas you look at a lot of people when you get into the Bidens and the Reids and the Pelosi's, not even Pelosi. Pelosi's just in it for personal power. She's a total, utter. She is one of the worst and most evil politicians, intrinsically evil, that I have ever encountered. It's bizarre, and I've encountered her, and she's the vibe of evil. But I think that we have a large group of people in the U.S. who seem to feel, in the policy positions, who seem to feel that we are defeated. We're already defeated. We're not worth it. And the thing is that we've had this ever since the late 1800s. Every time there's an event, it's America might not win, and America's not real power, America can't hang together, and every time there's an actual crisis, we end up with a bigger place on the world stage for various reasons. Many of them are that our particular model of capitalism as integrated into our society works extremely well in terms of distributed power. You have the power at the tops. You always have the elites. There's always going to be elites. But that distributed power, okay, the middle class professional, and that can be a plumber, a mechanic. It's not necessarily a professional like some dude who sits in a cubicle getting pasty and fat and who never does real work, okay? I mean, I'm not dissing the people in the cubicles. There is a lot of very real work that happens at a desk. You cannot manage a company without that, just to be clear. But professional includes a whole lot more than just that, okay? If you think that plumbers are dumb, you need to go take a plumber's test. There's a little bit more going on there. But America's particular version of capitalism has distributed power very well. Now, we've always had a battle between the true elitists, okay, and the more common yeomanry, all right? We're a very yeoman-based system. And there's always been that battle, and that battle seems to have swung way over onto the elite side lately, especially with the elites becoming globalists, all right? But we've had the bankers versus cattlemen wars going on for over 100 years anyway, so, this isn't anything new. Another thing is that we have a huge amount of structural power and systemic power. When the United States is threatened, we are really, really strong. When you put us to work on a common goal, we do a very good job. We tend to do a better job than any other nation. And there are some reasons for that, that are easy to figure out. Like our whole individualist system means that we have an individual pride, an individual ethic, an individual ownership, an individual effort. You really want this to work. There's also a communal aspect to this. We are part of a society, but we're part of, not subjects of, a society, and that leads to an increased efficiency of output. It just does. It's an amazing, amazing thing. And something else called systemology. And I think in a psychological, organizationally psychological aspect of this, but in a psychological sense, systemology requires a certain ability to think and to adapt that you don't get out of what I'm just going to call slave societies, okay? Servant societies, social supremacy societies, where society is superior to the individual, versus the individual being the superior basis, the sovereign unit being the individual. And systemology is a really, really big deal. Systemology is why we can put a nuclear carrier battle group out in the middle of nowhere for 2 or 3 years if you really need to push your logistical capability, and we can make it work. Systemology. The Chinese right now, they have apparently got a working nuclear carrier, and it's a fantastic thing, and it's super technological, and it's just great. Except that systemology doesn't work with the Chinese, and they can't really float. All right, float is a naval term. They can't go on a float. They could not send that ship and a fleet out on a 2-month cruise, let alone a 6-month Westpac or a 6-month Med cruise or whatever. A 6-month deployment at sea, they could never, not even close, they couldn't even do a 2-month deployment with a fleet. They can't project their power. And the basic reason for that is that they can't do systemology. They can't make systems work together in an adaptive and intelligent fashion because they do not have the individual capacity for individual adaptation and call it integrous action. And we fight it. We fight it all the time. The biggest battles in the U.S. in our systems, corporate or military or governmental, are against that particular corruption of the power hungry who are willing to sacrifice anything for the political gain, the power points. For example, Pelosi, who just flat out acknowledges that she held up all of the coronavirus relief because the election was more important than the American people. There you go. There it is. We've always got a battle against that, and it's an important battle. People are never fair. People are biased for their position, and that's fine. You have to run with that, you have to work with that. But systemology is something that it seems Western Europeans can do a little bit, but only Americans can really, really do, because we don't have that there's a lack of loyalty that comes with other social systems. And that's where you get the corruption and the power hungriness, is a lack of loyalty. Anyone as power hungry as certain senators and representatives we have cannot be trusted, because their power hunger is more important than any loyalty to an idea, to an ideology, to a nation. Okay? And this, as much as you may hate it, this is where the conservatives really do shine. Okay, I've known many conservatives who will lose profit, spend more money, whatever, because the goal, the principle is more important. That's about all I've got for you on this one. This is just a very short, quick video on what's going on in America. I think that we are much stronger than the doomsayers always want to admit. And I do honestly believe that we have a very big problem with large parts of our policy level leadership thinking that they have to sell us out to China because we can't win. And that's very wrong. It's very wrong, and I don't think that's going to end well for them. As usual, the true battle is between humanity and anti-humanity, and you know what side I'm on. Stay human and sideways.